Hi everybody, welcome to the Rambling Toffee podcast. I'm Mark. I hope everybody's doing well this Monday. Yes, so the season is now over. So we'll get into the game yesterday against Arsenal, and also I'll reflect in this episode on the season and what to expect as we go into the summer. There's going to be still a lot of things going on, not obviously not just on the field but off the field as well. So we'll get into the game yesterday and what my thoughts on that, and then we'll go from there. So yesterday, final game of the season, Arsenal away. Obviously a disappointing end, with a defeat, but I felt that the performance was really good. I thought the performance defensively was fantastic. We did create opportunities as well. So yes, 2-1 to Arsenal. Yes, it flattered them, to be honest with you, and it's quite interesting by the fact that they were going after a title yesterday, so it was a big game for them. They needed to win the game. Obviously, they did. Well, I'll come to the very controversial decision that got them their second goal in a moment. But as a performance, it was a really good performance. I felt, and it's hopefully something that we can take into next season. As you can guess, before the game, obviously there was offers of new contracts for Ashley Young. Drissa Gay has his an extension to his contract for another year. Seamus Coleman has been offered a new contract for a year as well. And some, obviously Andre Gomez and Longren, if I can say his name, obviously been released. Deli Ali is staying at the club as much as his contract as obviously will expire as well, and he's just staying at the club so he can get himself back up to full fitness and hopefully, well, it will help him. Will he stay at the club? Will we offer him an opportunity to stay for another season? I don't know what the plans is with Deli Ali, and also, I mean, if he wanted to stay, I think I would guess his contract um, is a lot of money. So, yes, these are all the issues that were taking place beforehand. Obviously, we'll have to see with the likes of Jack Harrison if he's going to be able to stay at the club for another season. Neil Maupay's coming back, obviously, from his loan from Brentford, so that will be an interesting one because, in all honesty, does he have a future at the club? Will he go back on loan to Brentford or will he go anywhere else? We'll just have to wait and see. So there's a lot of things up in the air. So this is all before the game, obviously yesterday. But it, it what we saw in that kind of performance is what we're going to probably expect in going into next season. But with players leaving out of contract and everything else like that, it's going to be an interesting time in the summer to see if we can bring anybody else in, or will they be all freebies? Will they be moving money around? Also, of course, the big up in the air with regarding Jared Branthwaite and Anana and players like that who have got a value that we can get a lot of money from. But on the performance yesterday, it was the same team as the previous week against Sheffield United. Um, but we set up really well, and you can tell it's a team with no pressure on us, and we can go out there and enjoy ourselves, and in a sense of the word, and put a performance in. So I felt from a perspective, defensively, we were really good. We we did quite well on the break. We created opportunities. Okay, we didn't get them all in, but we were going up against Arsenal. Guessing the possession side of it, we knew what was going to happen. We're going to have less and less of the possession. But I was really impressed by the performance. I didn't feel worried yesterday, which is surprising that we would, you know, worried that we'll get thrashed or get beat by Arsenal, which tends to be the case at the Emirates. We normally get thrashed about 4 or 5-0, which tends to be the case. But yesterday, I don't know if it's because of the way that they performed and the fact that the pressure was on them to get the goal, get the result that they needed to hopefully win the title. And also the atmosphere in the stadium was quite on up and down throughout. Obviously, they're getting information from the Man City game yesterday, so you can see their performance was quite edgy and everything else. But as you know, they were still very good with their possession, still getting themselves in getting forward and getting the opportunities. But defensively, we were really, really good. In that sense, I thought Jared Bradford and Tarkowski was fantastic. I thought Seamus had a good game as well. There's little one or two moments where they got behind Seamus, but other than that, he was absolutely fantastic. Ashley Young did okay. I'll mention what happened later on in a moment, but he did okay in the performance wise. You know my views about Ashley Young, and you know he's been very inconsistent this season. There's been moments when he's played okay, and there's been moments when he hasn't. And I just don't think he should be offered another 1 year contract, especially after what happened yesterday. But that's just my views. What you let me know what you think about his performance yesterday, and does he deserve you know a contract for next season? Um, we'll just have to see what happens on that front. But that's just my view. I just feel that you got Patterson. Hopefully, he'll come back and he needs to be given that opportunity. Yes, when he's come into the team, he's been inconsistent, but he's not been given the games to actually allow him to develop and grow in the role that he needs to move forward. So that's just my view. We'll see how things pan out in the summer on that front. But yesterday, yes, in midfield, I thought Anana was fantastic, and I think we saw what he is capable of when he wants to. And I think he was getting the ball, getting it forward. His movement and passing was really, really good as well. We had James Garner obviously playing on the wing in the absence of Jack Harrison, and he thought his performance was okay again. Idrissa Gana Gueye, well, mentioned about his contract being extended for another year, and he scored again. Okay, we took a deflection, but you can't stop scoring. And I just, where's his shooting boots coming from? Because we've not seen it for many years with him, first time round, and not just the second time round. So, good for him. I think I'm really pleased for him. Actually, I know he's getting older as well, obviously, but I think I'm pleased for him because his performances over the last month or so, since he's come back in from injury, has been absolutely fantastic. And again, he was up there probably, his performance wise, and he just did his job as per usual. I mean, so I thought Dermot Calvert-Lewin as well had a great performance as well. He worked his socks off, getting in positions. He was really, really good. And I wasn't obviously at the game. I watched it on TNT. Ali McCoist was singing his praises yesterday. The way he can get the ball delicately down, get the movement. His movements were really, really good and getting into the positions that he needs to be. Obviously, he hit the post yesterday, and there's an opportunity there. He could have scored as well. So I was really impressed, and it's going to be good for him as we go into next season. I hope we'll see if he's going to be offered a new contract because obviously he's only got a year left on his contract. So we'll see how that pans out. But it was a good performance yesterday against the team that were going for the title, putting the pressure on at the Emirates. The atmosphere was a bit mixed bag for them because obviously they you know how the game was yesterday in a way. Man City, obviously, they won the title as per usual, but we have to go out there and put the performance in. So a lot of positives and a lot of things to take in, which could be help as we grow into for next season. But as I get on with it in the moment, regarding everything else that's going on off the field, as I'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, yesterday, of course, 1-1, good point, would have been fantastic, and it's what happens. The referee again, Oliver. I I don't understand it. It seems to be whenever he does games with us, he's controversial every time, and the decisions that he makes are always against us. I think the only time that he gave us a decision was the West Ham game, where basically we got a penalty. Okay, we missed it, but he went to VAR, the usual thing, and gave the penalty. But at the beginning, he didn't wasn't going to give the penalty, and it was VAR who intervened and told him that that's a blatant penalty in the West Ham game. But that's the only time, and I think there was a sending off. But you're supposed to be a referee and you manage it, and that was the right decision on that front as well. But most of the time, his decision making against Everton has been terrible. It feels like there's a vendetta against us when he ever referees our games, and he's supposed to be, according to PGMOL and the Premier League, they think he's the great one of our best referees in this country. But again and again and again, yesterday, well, that was, okay, and this is where I talk about Ashley Young, and this is why, that inconsistency in the Premier League, it doesn't matter if it's the last game of the season, it doesn't really matter. You know, it's still a game, and I wanted us to win yesterday. I didn't care if Arsenal are the top team, one of the top teams, and going for the title. I wanted our team to go out there and put a performance in and get a result. That's what I want. It doesn't matter if it's the first game of the season or last game of the season. This is the issue I have with Ashley Young, is that his inconsistencies. We don't need that. We need a consistent performer week in, week out, whatever position he's been playing. Okay, he's been playing right back on this occasion. He's been in the midfield, and some performances have been okay and they've been fine, but that inconsistency and making errors, penalties being given away this season, it's been and being sent off one or two times because of his pace is the issue. And yesterday he got the ball, there was no pressure, no nothing, and he goes to try and play a ball that basically, what was the point of it? Straight into the centre, where all the midfield have moved further forward, and all you've got is Tarkowski in that central position in the midfield area. Ball comes across. But this is when it gets even worse, when Oliver Jesus handles it with his arm. The ball hits him on the arm. He pushes himself forward and actually went through. Obviously, goal given. And then what happens next is a rare moment here. VAR told him in his ear, go and have a look at the screen. Obviously, I think it was Atwell as well, of all people, another terrible referee we have in this country, gave a decision and said, look, we think that's handball. We think that should be a free kick there. But Oliver, a rare occurrence. It's happened before, I believe, where he's actually gone with his decision, what he's made on the field, and not with his assistant or the VAR referee. He's gone and thought, no, that's fine. I can look legit. Everybody in that stadium, doesn't matter even if you're an Arsenal fan or whatever, doesn't matter. Watching it on TV, anybody, we all saw the same thing. We all said the same thing. That's an handball, and something needs to be done about this because it's happening too many times throughout a season. If it's in the box or anywhere where one person's handled it, it's a penalty, and then another person's done similar to that and is given a penalty or a foul in the middle or whatever it may be. Something has to give here. And it's not just on this occasion, we've been very critical. I've been very critical. We've all been critical of VAR and the way it's being used. And the officials that are using it are poor and that they need to be trained. New people need to be coming. New referees need to come in with more competent, more understanding of how VAR are working. I know they want to get rid of it. I think Wolves put it out there and it's going to be voted on if they want to get rid of VAR. It can work if you've got the right people, the right people, experienced people, supposedly, who know what they are doing. But they're not. I'm not a referee. I don't know the whole of the rules. I wish I did. Somebody out there, whoever's listening to this, might know all the rules. But if I see an handball that's an handball, that's what I see. Why is it contentions that because it's hit it like this or done like that? Oh no, that's different. It's not an handball. And I can understand in certain situations that's the reasons behind it. But that was blatantly a foul. That was blatantly a handball. We should have had a free kick. And you know, I'm baffled by it. I'm sorry. What do you guys think? What can you do? But it's just again another official. This is where we get into our minds thinking, has he got something against us? Is he has a hatred of us or something? Does he just do this on purpose? And thinking like that and a corrupt element, this is when you start thinking about corruption and thinking that, why are they making decisions like this? And it's the same referee making these type of decisions against our team in this instance. Why? And this is when you start being conspiracy theories and thinking, oh yes, it's corrupt. There's a reason why he's doing it. He doesn't like the club. He doesn't like them because the fans have had a go at him or something like that. That doesn't matter. You are paid. The referee, he paid foul, whatever his wages is more than I'll ever get, and basically to go into a stadium, and he was expected to get that kind of abuse from fan bases, because when you make mistakes and make errors like that, you know, you're expected to that. You get paid the money for it. You have to expect it. But if you just come off the field, or if you are thinking like, oh yes, this is a, I don't like Everton. I think if any way that I can, a decision that, or if I can find a way that I can not give them that decision, I will do. That's, me being conspiracy theory here and jumping on to conclusions that this is what he's up to. It may not be the case. I don't know, but I just don't understand what happened yesterday and what Sean Dyche said afterwards. Of course, saying that yes, oh, it's a title decider. Oh yes, I'll just give it. He's even saying it. Title decider. Oh yeah, give him. Yeah, we'll have to give him the go. You know, Something has to give now, and I'm throwing it out. Out there to you guys. What do you think? Because if we want to keep VAR, you need the right people in that VAR truck. The referees are in that truck, supposedly the experienced ones. They're not doing their job. They're not fit for purpose. The referees on the field, vast majority of them, not fit for purpose. Something has to give. We need new referees. Why don't we go into Europe? Why don't we go and expand? Bring the best referees, because it's supposed to be, the Premier League is supposed to be the best league in the world. Why don't we have the best referees in the world coming to the Premier League? Why can't you do that? You're trying to make an extra games playing in the United States or wherever else as part of the Premier League's plans to actually expand and make it bigger and better, and bring these teams playing in the US or Dubai or whatever else. Why don't you bring the best referees? That's what you want to expand and make it bigger and better and whatever you want to do. But, you know, something has to give. Anyway, rant over, I apologise for that. But it's just unbelievable. Yes, I could talk about Ashley Young, and that's an error. He made the decision to do that, and he's too many of that. But the referee didn't help it in that matter. And what can you do? End of season, I can just, it'll be forgotten now. I think we just get on with, hopefully for a better season, hopefully better refereeing decisions next season, hopefully, will it improve? I don't know, you know. Yeah, so basically, season's ended. My feelings, after that game is we're improving. We've done quite well over the last few weeks. We got ourselves into a position. If we didn't have a points deduction, obviously we could have finished yesterday. If we had drawn that game, we would have finished 11th if it was in without the points deduction added. But we finished 15th, obviously, because Brentford lost yesterday. So we'll get some prize money. But if we had finished 11th and not, without points deduction, we've had more money. We would have had more prize money. So in a sense, this points deduction is not just giving us where we have finished. We've also been penalised, not just with a points deduction, penalised financially. I think it's roughly around £12 million. We could have had extra, £12 million would have been for that position. We would have been in a different place. But as that's what's happened. We breached, obviously. We have to accept that the board in our past and the owner just ran our club terribly, and we deserve the breaches. We deserve a punishment. Were points deduction, if point deduction were as it is, it should have been 1 or 2. It shouldn't have been about how many they wanted us to have. 17 points if you didn't have if they didn't go through the appeal element, it could have been 17 points being deducted, and we would have been. I think from checking, we still might have survived anyway. But even so, it's just something has to change, and I don't think it's going to change until an independent regulator comes in, and I hope it has teeth enough to actually challenge uh, the Premier League on how it's out its rules. Because yesterday, I'm just digressing a little bit. Yesterday, Man City won the league for the 4th time in a row. They've still got 115 charges against them. I believe it's going to be dealt with in autumn this year. Um, and I just was fed up with it because that team that's done really well, winning the titles for the last 4 years, and Champions League and everything else that they've done over the last few years. So you know these players that they've been bought through a period of time where these breaches have been coming in and when these charges have been put against them. And, you know, it's not fair because they've just been allowed to go on and on and on and on and on, keep on buying the best players. And okay, Man City fans will probably say, well, we've sold, some players on and everything else. But yeah, but if you look at what the breaches are, because it is out there, you can read them. It's on PSRs, it's on, concealing it, details and information, to the Premier League, and that's why, they're being charged. But hopefully, well, we should see something further in autumn. Hopefully, we'll find out what that punishment will be. But the feeling I got yesterday, and is that the Man City, it's just they don't, what will happen if they have breached? Will they take the titles away? Will they give them points deduction? Obviously, they won't take the titles away. I don't think they can change that. But will they get a points deduction similar to how Everton have been given points deduction just for one breach, or not Forest for one breach? They've got so many more. What are they going to do? Watch this space. Probably knowing me, they'll probably come to an agreement and accept it, settlement out of the out court scenario, and everything's hunky dory in the world because without Man City, because we need Man City, because it's what the Premier League is. They're part of the six. All the TV companies want some Man City on the TV week in, week out. You still got Pep Guardiola in charge. The team plays wonderful football. They've got some great players. Oh no, they've got to be part because that's where the entertainment part of it is. But we'll see. That's just my feeling. They'll just get away with it, and it just feels like that. We are just basically easy targets for the Premier League, and this is why an independent regulator needs to happen more sooner. Hopefully soon. They're going through the readings and everything else that they're doing at Parliament, so we'll see soon. Hopefully, when new government is formed, when we have the general election, I think we will see it in play. But as I say, they need to have teeth. It needs to go after take the PSR related cases or issues away from the Premier League because they're just making it up as they go along and they're just choosing people and choosing clubs, that are easy target. And Everton have been one of them. And, after yesterday, obviously, and that, just a gripe that I'll pull out the animation that the Premier League put out on Friday, I think it was, where basically, or was it Saturday, one of those days, and where it was they put all 19 clubs their stories of the season, but Everton seemed to have been left out of it. We had a story, big story. We had to fight against points deduction, fight against the fact that through the ownership and all the other different things and the struggles that we have to go through to be in a position that we end the season, not being relegated because you think the amount of 8 point deduction in any time for any club would have meant relegation. For us, it's a different story, and there's a story there, and it just feels like whoever put that out on their social media have some gripe against us, some hatred against us, something that they don't dislike against us, and they just wanted to put it out there. They shouldn't do that because it's a professional organisation. They're supposed to be to give every team, 20 teams, and it's all well you get your 19, but you forget about the one, and it's just. And I know out there is another video where a couple of Everton players are actually on it, and there is an Everton related on there, but it's whoever made that decision to do it on there, and it's like again, it's been forgotten, and it's like, oh, stop moaning about it. All you do is moan, but it's just that decision. What's the point of it? What was it to achieve? It's for just because a lot of Evertonians, including myself, We feel there is a corrupt element with the Premier League, and because we sent, tweeted the Premier League with corrupt Premier League pictures and all the rest of it, and had a go at them throughout that. Maybe, yes, they may not like what they were getting, but at the end of the day, they just handle that. You just have to let it be. They didn't reply to it, they didn't deal with it, just went on to the next story that they were ever putting it out. So, why would they feel that way with who's making that decision? So, I don't know. Anyway, that's another story for another day. So, yes, so basically, the season's ending. My reflection on the season is like being a roller coaster ride. It's been up, down, up, down, up, down. Had the occasional spell. There was a period of time, 1 in 16, 1 win in 16. The concerns I had, and I think everybody had, regarding manager, and felt is he right for the club going forward um, into next season. Obviously, throughout this time, obviously we've had a takeover which has been dragging on and on and on, and I'll get into that in a second. But in that period when it's been dragging on, my feeling always at that point in time when we were going through that really bad period was when this takeover has been sorted. If it was 777 partners or whoever else, I was hoping, I was thinking we'll get to the summer, new owners in, new direction, new changes. Hopefully, we'll have money and everything else to be able to actually get some players in, strengthen the team into next season, bring in a new manager. That was my feeling at that point in time. My feeling is Sean Dyche a long-term manager for Everton? No, and I still believe that. But we are in a situation off the field where basically, until the ownership issue is resolved and we've got the right people in, hopefully, fingers crossed. If you're watching this on YouTube, fingers crossed, that, we get the right competent people in, and then we can start, getting the right people, you know, if it's going to be Kevin Farewell to stay on, I would guess, going forward into next season, if it'll be a new director of football. My feeling about Sean Dyche has always been the same. And for anybody out there who listens to me, and I'm not being hypocritical on this, the last end of this season where we stayed up, the performances have been better. We've come through, and if I, as I mentioned about the 8 point deduction, if we weren't given that, we would have been 12th, 11th. So I would have actually looked upon the season as a real good positive after the season before, where we were, on the verge of going down. So the fact is that we actually improved this season on last season. So that's a positive. But with all the points deduction is obviously knocked the team mentally and the club generally, and as fans as well, we've been trying to get behind the team, and it's been a struggle and a slog. And as I mentioned about the roller coaster season that we've had, it's just been never ending. And just having a few days where you can actually be happy with your team's performance, happy that things off the field are not transpiring against you, thinking everything's going in the right direction. But my thought on Sean Dyche is the same: is that he's not a long-term manager for us. I feel, but I feel that he's got us to the end of the season. He's got us in a position that we can move forward, hopefully. And I think he will be given probably next season, personally. Um, and to see what he can do. Can he take what I will refer to as one dimensional kind of setup? Can he change it? Can he do something different? Can he allow us to be more creative? Can he open that little Pandora's box that we are a good defensive team? That's what we've seen this season. But can we score more goals? Can we be more creative? Can we be more offensive going forward? If he can do that next season, and if he can take away that one-dimensional setup and the way that he does things and how he sets his teams up, that the first thing you do is to make yourself hard to beat, but also add not just that bit, add the getting progressive and get forward and be a lot more pace, a lot more, getting forward quicker. giving the opportunity to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We do create. I know this season there has been periods where in games early on we create loads of opportunities, but the ball just didn't go in the net or whatever it is. But it's getting that balance right, and we will see. We will see what happens next season. But at this moment in time, until we get the ownership sorted out, has to stay in that position because we need to get you know everything right. And because if you've got the right structure, everything's in place, and then go forward, and then we can go into next season. Hopefully, as I mentioned about the ownership situation, if it's resolved, we've got funding, we've got things starting to change off the field in a positive frame of mind. We as fans, we become positive as well. We can get behind the team and just see where it goes. If it continues, we have a period again where we struggle again and we're not doing, then we can look at it again. But I just think that long term, when we move into Bramley-Moore, maybe onto there, maybe we may have to look um, at a different manager because the club needs to go forward, not just with the first team. It has to go right down to through the academy, and the setup and the way we play is going to have to be set up from academy upwards into the first team. Everybody, all teams throughout playing that way, playing the same way. But the way we've been playing, because of the situation and the circumstances we have been in throughout this season, is we had to play that way to an extent, and we've seen when things are not working that this is where you start asking questions about the manager. But I, for, I can understand what is happening. But when it comes to structure and not just off the field but on the field, throughout the academy onwards, we need a team that is good defensive setup, but also is progressive and gets forward. And you've got some good young players, so they can naturally move in from the academy. The under 23s can move straight in to the first team and know how the team plays. And that's the way modern football is now. And we just have to see. So that's my view. That's my take on it. I hope Sean Dyche progresses, get better, and we start seeing in structure open up a little bit more going forward. We'll just have to wait and see how the summer goes and what players we do get in, what players will leave, how we're going to deal with all that sort of thing. And finally, yes, I have to talk about, and I'll probably talk about this throughout the summer, as regarding the takeover. And it's looking like, obviously, if we've seen all the fact that 777 Partners, I don't think are going to be taking over our football club. I think they're going through bankruptcy. I think they're going to go into receivership, administration, all them wonderful words. I think they are not going to be. I know what frustrated me was the fact that Mshiri put an extension to the 31st of May regarding them to complete, which I can't see happening. And if you see what's been happening, at Standard Liège, Vasco as well, and all the legal, issues that they are having in court regarding. And the fact is now that Josh Wander and Pascal, I forgot what his first name, sorry, and his sister, they've been removed, from 777 Partners themselves. And it's not looking good at all. And, this is why we're seeing it seems to be the money that they have been putting into the club has been coming from other places within their structure, and obviously they can no longer get fund that money or find that money from wherever they're going into. Their credit rating's going downwards. They're just losing a lot of businesses, and they've been removed from. I think Vasco is one of them. Standard Liège, they resigned from. They removed from there. It's just onwards and onwards, all these different things, and their businesses. Obviously, I've mentioned about the airline. Going into administration. It's for me, you can just see the writing on the wall as regards to them. So yeah, for me, I don't know why. It's just Mashiri as usual. I don't know why it's extended to the 31st. It's part. I know it's part of an agreement that was put in place. but why he gave an extra couple of weeks, I don't know. I can't understand that, to be honest with you. And as soon as that elapses, we'll find out if he's you know other people, other bidders out there, other interested parties, which from what I'm hearing from the media, from the likes of Alan Myers and one or two others out there are interested parties, and is hopefully be sorted. We'll get somebody in, hopefully competent owners, as I mentioned throughout this podcast, who can come straight in, care about what Everton football is all about, and take it forward. I know the likes of Andy Bell, George Downing, Andy Burnham, of course, Will Hanrahan. I'll put out there to you. They've set up a group with many other people who in politics and in other businesses and everything else, that have set up something called Toffee's Rising. It's the group that they've called themselves, that are working behind the scenes at Everton to get the club into a stronger position going forward. That when we do have, hopefully, the right people, and hopefully that's what's happening at the moment. Hopefully the right people. There's MSP still, I've mentioned before, that they still may want to get involved. They've got an opportunity to do so. We'll see, because obviously they're owed 158 million pounds, so they've got an opportunity to either take that and turn to an equity stake and take on responsibility, majority shareholding of the club, um, and then look maybe at finding somebody who wants to take on a full takeover, not just be an investment in, like MSP could do if they wanted to. So there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. We'll find out probably more as we go on. But I want to put a shout out to Will Hanrahan, who I think not that long ago was mentioning about this, what they were going to do, and hearing now more and more from the likes. We've not heard them communicate as such. They're just working hard behind the scenes to try and get things structured and put in a way that we can move forward, that we will not go into administration, that we will not struggle going forward. So we'll just have to wait and see. But positives on that front. So I want to put a shout out to them. I think they're big Evertonians like we are. They care, and they want the best for the football club, obviously, and they're giving their time and their energy to do something about it, which is fantastic. So on that front, so hopefully we'll hear more as we go on regarding that. But it's all we need now is Mashiri to make the right decision. He's been making wrong decisions for a while, and he needs to make a right one. And I'm surprised. He should have made some sort of communication. Hopefully, we'll find out this week through the Fab, because they're meeting him this week. So we'll find out, from what he discusses there, and what he wants from the club, what is the plans going forward, why is he continuing to be persistent with somebody, with a group that is failing everywhere, and why he can be persistent with somebody like that when you need competent people who are not in that position. I'm just baffled by it. So I just want to put a shout out there to everybody else there. Yeah, it's been, it's great that they're getting involved. A long way it continues. So yes, the group's called Toffee's Rising, and they want to rise to the top. Well, that's what we want. We all want. We want our team to be, challenging back up there at the top end of the table. We want to move into Bramley-Moore Dock with a good, competent team, hopefully in the future. In time, we can go in the right pathway. We've got some good young players coming through, and all the great stuff that we want to see. We're moving into a new stadium as well. Let's be positive about that. But yes, throughout the summer, I'll keep everybody updated. These podcasts will continue on throughout the summer. I'll talk about the new stadium. I'll talk about the takeover when it does get complete, and if it does happen. Any new signings, any this, any that, all the great stuff that as we move forward into August, and into next season. I hopefully as well throughout the summer I'll get Stu on from Everton Views on again. Hopefully we'll get things sorted from my point of view to get the techie side of this sorted, so we can get him on and I can get that out. And also I'll be able to have hopefully anybody else can come on, like Tom from Long Island Toffees as well. If you're listening, hopefully you can come on. We can talk about, reflect on the season and everything about that, and just go on from that point of view. So just keep an eye out, keep an ear out, what's happening next. So just to let everybody know, there'll be no podcast next week as I'm on holiday, I'm away, so I won't have the time to actually be able to record. But I'll be back the week after to talk about anything that's going on regarding the takeover, the ownership, and all that sort of wonderful stuff, and then go from there. So on that note, thank you again for the support as per usual. It's been fantastic. It's been appreciated from everybody, from Martin, from Bag Full of Toffees. You've been fantastic. He's been supportive. Al, and Andrew out there as well. Steve, anybody else, Stu, of course, anybody else that's just been really been supportive of this podcast, of me just rambling on and on and on and on about all things blues, some of the nonsense that I talk about. I want to get this, improve this, to get it better and to be even bigger going forward. So just keep an eye and an ear as we go into the summer where I take it. So that support has been fantastic and it's always been appreciated. If I missed anybody out, because I send this podcast to as many people as possible, I'll just throw in the Esk as well. Paul's been fantastically supportive. Always appreciate, always spends the time to listen to my podcast. I do appreciate that. And he's finally been found that what he's been saying for the last few months is true, basically, about 777 Partners. So it's good for him. I know he's been getting a lot of criticism, but I've always been backed him up, and I don't care whatever people think about me. If you didn't agree with him or what, but that's just my view and it's just my opinion, and that's how it is. But I'm honest enough to say that. If you disagree with me, then well, that's just the way of the world, isn't it? That's what football's all about. We agree and we disagree about every point, every opinion, anything that we talk about. But yeah, thank you for the support as usual. I'll be back in a couple of weeks' time uh, on all things, whatever else is going on with Everton throughout the summer, and it's just going to be a very interesting period. So on that note, thank you again for listening and watching. I'll speak to you all again soon in the next couple of weeks. This is the Rambling Toffee. He's signing out. Take care. All right, bye bye.